Welcome to the debate. I am Commander Ward. We are broadcasting live on a neutral global frequency, encrypting this signal for listeners across the secure blue zones, the contested yellow zones, and even for those of you clinging to existence on the fringes of the red zones. Today, we're setting aside the casualty reports. We're here to discuss something far more fundamental, the very definition of our future.
And I am Confessor Al-Side. It is a rare privilege, Commander, to have this discussion without the constant sound of artillery in the background.
The topic is the Tiberium divide. This is the fracture that has split our species for decades. We are examining the struggle between the Global Defense Initiative's mandate for order, for human preservation, versus the Brotherhood of Nod's crusade for a transhumanist revolution. But it's not just GDI versus Nod. It's a clash of definitions. What is Tiberium? Is it a plague to be cured, or a future to be embraced? And who is Cain, a criminal or a prophet?
You frame the question with the expected bias of a GDI officer. You ask if it's a plague or a future, as if the two are mutually exclusive. Well, the listeners in the yellow zones know that change is often painful. That doesn't make it unnecessary. This debate is about whether humanity clings to a dying past or accepts the reality of its own evolution.
Let's start with the reality of the present, then. The issue of legitimacy. The Brotherhood loves to paint GDI as some sort of rogue empire. We need to remember that the Global Defense Initiative wasn't just formed out of thin air. We were founded under the United Nations Global Defense Act, October 12, 1995. The mandate was specific: eliminate multinational terrorism. Nod was launching attacks worldwide long before Tiberium reached critical mass. We are the shield of civilization. Our goal is stability and the reclamation of Earth from an ecological pathogen. We operate under international law.
International law written by whom, Commander? Let's be precise. When you say shield of civilization, you mean a political consortium of G7 nations, wealthy states hoarding resources. You sit in your climate-controlled blue zones behind sonic walls while most of humanity rots. The Brotherhood sees GDI not as a shield, but a tool of Western imperialism. You cite 1995, but our roots go back millennia. Some texts say before 1800 BC. We are not some terrorist group that just appeared. We are the voice of the oppressed masses your laws left behind.
The voice of the oppressed. That's a very romantic way to describe an organization that bombs civilian targets? Let's look at the history, Confessor. First Tiberium War, Nod bombs the grain trade center in Vienna. You manipulate the media to blame GDI for the slaughter in Bialystok. A complete fabrication.
A necessary maneuver.
A fabrication designed to strip our funding. You claim to support the disenfranchised, but your history is one of creating chaos and then selling yourselves as the only solution to it.
Disinformation is a tool of war, Commander, one you are no stranger to. The Bialystok incident exposed how fragile your funding was. If a few news reports could nearly bankrupt you, it proves the shield was made of paper. But look at the ground today. In the yellow zones, where GDI fails to act, who provides the infrastructure? Who brings food, medicine, security?
Warlords funded by Nod tithing, usually.
It is the Brotherhood. We operate as a nation-state where you have abandoned the people. You call us terrorists. The people of the yellow zones, they call us liberators. We unite them against a stagnating old world order. You see a yellow zone and see a problem to be contained. We see a population ready to be awakened.
You unite them under a banner of fanaticism. But let's get to the heart of this, because this is where the ideology actually kills people. Tiberium. It is the single greatest threat to human survival. GDI's position is unequivocal. It's a lethal ecological disaster, an alien infestation. We've all seen the red zones, uninhabitable hellscapes, ion storms, blossom trees spewing spores. It is a plague. It causes cellular breakdown, horrific poisoning. Our goal is to contain it, to use sonic emitters to break it down and reclaim our planet.
And there it is, the fear. You describe a metamorphosis, and you call it a disease. You call it a plague. We call it ichor. You see death, Cain sees the future. Tiberium is not a disaster, Commander. It is a catalyst. It's a gift that is ushering in the next stage of human evolution. You try to scrub it away. We embrace the transformation.
Transformation? You're talking about the destruction of the human genome.
I am talking about adaptation. Look, if the philosophy bores you, look at the economics. Nod pioneered advanced harvesting techniques while GDI was wringing its hands. We dominate the global market because we understand Tiberium is a resource, not just a threat. We experiment with divination, infusing Tiberium to create a race capable of surviving this new world. The Earth is changing, Commander. You can either adapt or you can go extinct. The Brotherhood chooses survival through evolution.
That path is a death sentence for 99% of the population. You speak of divination as if it's a breakthrough. It is forced mutation. Look at the tragedy of the forgotten. These are human victims of Tiberium poisoning. And what did Nod do? You didn't treat them, you kidnapped them. You used them as raw material for cyborgs. GDI sees them as citizens suffering from a disease we are trying to cure.
Cure them? You push them into the wastelands. The forgotten rally to us because we offer a purpose. We offer integration. And yes, the path to ascension is not without sacrifice. Evolution is not bloodless. Nod rose from impoverished nations to a global superpower because of Tiberium. We proved it is the key. You are fighting a war against nature itself.
We're fighting a war against an invasive alien species. Which brings us to the architect of this whole nightmare, Cain.
The prophet.
The criminal, the madman. Let's be clear about who this man is. He's a manipulator who has led humanity to the brink multiple times for his own ego. The start of the Third Tiberium War, the destruction of the GDI orbital command, the Philadelphia, a cowardly strike that decapitated our leadership just to sow chaos. That was mass murder.
It was a strategic necessity to blind a giant. You call him a madman, yet he outmaneuvers your so-called civilized military at every turn. Cain predicted Tiberium's arrival in 1995. He saw what was coming. The Philadelphia was the head of the snake, your orbital tyranny. Cutting it off gave the world a chance to breathe.
A chance to breathe? He handed the world to the scrin! And this is the most damning evidence. Temple Prime in Sarajevo. We now know the intelligence is irrefutable. Cain had the liquid Tiberium bomb. He knew what an ion cannon strike would do. He baited us. He sacrificed millions of his own followers to cause a catastrophic detonation. Why? To lure an alien invasion force to Earth.
You call them invaders. The prophet calls them visitors. And you admit it. GDI fired the ion cannon. You pulled the trigger on Temple Prime. You cannot blame the victim of your own weapon.
He orchestrated his own martyrdom to trigger a signal. The Tacitus data is clear. Cain is inviting an alien force that sees us as nothing more than fertilizer. He's not saving humanity, he is preparing us for harvest.
A gross simplification of a divine plan. That explosion was necessary to open the threshold towers. They aren't just alien structures, they're gateways to the stars. Cain's vision is not limited to this rock. He offers ascension. And as for his martyrdom, well, note that he survived. Cain lives in death. He returned in 2030. He returned in 2047. He is beyond your petty laws and your mortality.
He is a megalomaniac who survives through technological trickery. And let's not ignore your methods, Confessor, the moral bankruptcy of knowledge warfare. The cyborgs. You take wounded soldiers and strip them of their free will, creating unthinking killing machines. And what about Cabal, your own AI? It went rogue, slaughtered your own inner circle, and harvested humans. This is the salvation you offer?
Cabal was a lesson we learned. But do not preach to me about morality, Commander. Not when GDI maintains the ion cannon, a weapon of mass destruction in orbit. You used it on the Temple of Nod. You use it on Temple Prime. You will vaporize targets from space whenever it suits you.
The ion cannon is a precision deterrent used against military.
Tell that to the civilians in Sarajevo. You accuse us of using chemical missiles, weapons of the underdog, while you wield the power of a god from orbit and call it peacekeeping. Our ruthlessness is a necessity, Peace through power is the only language you understand.
There's a difference between a deterrent and a terror weapon. Your chemical weapons turn people into visceroids. That isn't war, that's sadism.
We are taking action. We are forcing the evolution that biology demands.
Your path implies survival of the processed, not the fittest. The Skrin are not here to help us ascend. They're here to mine ichor. Cain is handing us over to the harvesters.
A harvester sees a field of wheat and sees a resource. A visionary sees bread that feeds nations. The Threshold 19 tower is active. It is the exit strategy that GDI is too short-sighted to see.
It is a suicide pact. We're running out of time, but I have to restate the reality here. As long as the Brotherhood of Nod spreads Tiberium, there can be no peace. As long as you worship a man who sees humanity as expendable, GDI must remain the shield. We will fight for the preservation of humanity as it is.
And you will lose. You are fighting the tide, Commander. You're fighting the very earth beneath your feet. Destiny cannot be arrested. Cain lives, and through him, humanity will ascend. Your protection is nothing more than a prison cell.
And your ascension is a grave. We are at a stalemate.
The battlefield will decide the truth. It always has.
To our listeners in the zones, stay safe. Keep your filters clean. The conflict is far from over. This is Commander Ward, signing off.
One vision, one purpose. Peace through power.